Wow, Brett, what's going on, man?
Hey, listen, I'm excited, man. We just got finished watching a phenomenal women's finals championship game where the LSU Tigers beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. The LSU women Tigers beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. And what makes me so excited about that is I think that game, along with the South Carolina Iowa game, were the best two games in the tournament, men, women combined.
Oh man, no doubt. I think that was such a great game. It unfortunately got overshadowed by, to me, the white black thing, and that is so disheartening because we watched two very competitive teams just really battle, man. And again, because we saw in 2023 that we saw a white team from Iowa and a quote unquote black team from LSU, and again, instead of it being so competitive, it got overshadowed by this white black thing, and I'm just a little disappointed by that, Brett.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I think first of all, it is unfortunate, but let's be real. This is the reality that we live in right now. I'm looking at the game and I'm watching the introductions. And by the time we got to the jump, I'm like, oh my God, this ain't Iowa versus LSU.
Right.
This is
white versus black.
This is what young white women are versus what young black women are in a basketball sense.
No. Well. See, if it was just basketball, I think I wouldn't have a problem with it. But what it did was it just caused more of a racial division in our country, right? And I think that's the unfortunate part about it is in 2023, we got these two really talented teams. I mean, to me, that girl Caitlin, she's freaking an assassin. Like,
I agree.
She to me, she the young Steph Curry.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
They compared her to Larry Bird.
No, she's more Steph than Larry.
Yeah. So, but unconscious and competitor, and then we had we saw that they beat up on the girls out in South Carolina, and then they meet these girls, these sisters from LSU, and now, man, again, you said it, they raised the ball. And then here we go again with the white black thing, and I think that there's something I'm missing here, and I want to talk about it. I'm a brother, and no doubt about it. I'm black. I'm African American that was born in this country, and that's never going to leave me. But what the thing that I'm having a problem with is everything just turns to white or black. And I'm going to ask the question, and I asked this question before. If LSU would have lost, would you have been mad?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
I would not have been mad. I would have been disappointed.
Why?
Because I was rooting for LSU.
Why?
Because LSU had black women on their team, and I'm black, and I advocate for blackness. I'm black centric. Don't try to make me out to be a racist, okay? I'm unapologetically black.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I'm a racist, because I'm not. It doesn't mean I don't like or root for white people, because I do, and I will in certain situations. But I rooted for South Carolina because I'm a Dawn Staley fan, because I wanted to see South Carolina have this female dynasty. Something to begin to rival what Gino has in UConn.
Yep.
Something to rival what Tennessee had.
Yep.
Pat Summitt had.
Summitt. Oh, she was a bad.
And I love Pat Summitt and what they did at Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm not
but they all coach black athletes.
But I'm not a big Gino guy, but I have a lot of respect for the greatness of UConn. And so here comes Dawn Staley from Cheney State.
Right.
Again, being black centric,
right,
who took over South Carolina and won a championship a couple years ago. Should have won it last year, and I was really, really disappointed that they didn't. Well, they didn't win last year. Very disappointed. They won the year before.
Yeah,
very disappointed that they lost in the semis.
Right,
and so I wanted LSU to win. But I will say this: I was very impressed with Iowa, and I will say this: the referees killed Iowa.
Yeah, they did.
The referees, I think, cost Iowa the game in the first half.
Yeah, with the calls. There was a lot of foul calls. The whistle was going crazy.
Yeah. And so I, to be honest with you, I thought Iowa got the bad end of the stick. But I will say this too. How often do we get the short end of the stick?
Oh, I'm not so. So what I'm gonna talk about is this. I think we have to, and I'm gonna say this in a loving way, we boys, but.
Oh, I'm not afraid to disagree with you.
Okay, yeah, we do it all the time.
Go ahead.
I think we have to be careful when we keep saying black centric, because if I say if everybody
Okay. Before you continue, just tell me why it's wrong for me to say black centric.
because if white boys say I'm white centric, we call them. What do we say about them? We call them what?
I don't know.
Come on. White supremacists.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. When they say we call them Proud Boys, this is what I'm telling you is when it comes from them saying, you know what, I'm white and I'm proud, right? We call them Proud Boys. We call them that. And I feel like it causes division. I feel like because first of all, I'm God centric. I'm blessed to be in this body that is a brown skinned body. But I got white boys that are my brothers, just like I got brothers that are my brothers in Spanish.
I grew up around white people.
I know.
I had white neighbors. I went to school with white folks. I went to college with white folks.
But you don't think that keeps us divided, though?
No.
But we just saw a divide.
Well, wait a minute now. You asked me two different questions.
Okay.
So let me just back up real quick. I want to make this really, really, really cliche. Mm-hmm. I have no issue with white people in general.
Okay.
And this is not a cliche when I tell you I have white friends.
Right. No.
It's not a cliche. I have white friends that I.
But why do we have to label white friends black friends? Why can't they just be my brothers?
Okay, well that's fine. But you're the one that brought up the whole concept of race relation and race and the racial divide and all that stuff. I'm just answering your question.
No. I'm saying it from the standpoint of this wonderful basketball game got overlooked by color. That's how the conversation started.
Okay.
This wonderful basketball game, and I asked the question, and the question was, if LSU would have lost, would you have been upset?
I said no. I said disappointed.
Disappointed.
And there's a big difference between being upset and disappointed.
Disappointed because these sisters, black women, lost versus to these white women. Correct?
See, that's the sentence that you said. No. That's what you said. I didn't say they lost to white women. I said I wanted these sisters to win.
Okay.
All right. So you threw the white women part at the end, which you made it more racially impactful than I did.
Well, that's how I feel society is taking it. So I'll be clear, right? Because through the whole thing, it's been about the girl with the death gestures, and it's been around that. And so our conversation kind of just spawned from that, right? And so what I feel is when we keep, and this is just me, when we keep saying, man, they're white, we're black, they're Hispanic, we're Asian, we're this. I think we keep dividing this country even more. And I just saw it on the other day through sports again, that we just see these white girls against these black girls instead of these beautiful women who are athletes, no matter what color they are. And we just keep doing it. And that's how I feel.
And I am 100% in agreement with you on a couple of facts.
Okay.
Fact one is this country is much, much too racially divided. That's a fact, and it's a shame. That's a fact.
Okay.
Number two, that is our reality. And so I'm not the author of racial divide.
Right.
I'm simply observing what's occurring. And so when you ask the question about who was I rooting for and why, I was just being honest. That's point one.
Yeah, no doubt. But I'm going to be honest. I wanted the sisters to win too. All right?
No, I understand.
Let's be clear.
I understand. Yeah. But here's the other thing that I think you might be not too. Here's the other point. Mm-hmm. Everybody who watched that game was feeling the way I felt. So it wasn't Brett Carroll on an island sitting somewhere up in
No. We're talking abroad, of course.
everybody who saw
but
that
again,
game. 13% of the country was rooting for LSU, and 87% of the country was rooting for Iowa.
But that's
So
the
when
prime
you say
example.
to me,
Yeah, no.
like when you said to me 5 minutes ago, then why are you so black centric? It's because of the history and the present of how we're viewed, how we're treated, how we're regarded, what we have access to, what we don't have access to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, heretofore, therefore, therefore, therefore. The point I'm making is a simple, the girls' game is 10 minutes, a simple 40-minute basketball game broken down into 4 quarters, in my humble opinion, represented who we were, who we are, and who we want to be.
Right.
Accepted is who we want to be.
Right.
Successful is who we want to be. And respected is who we want to be. And
Right.
that's why I rooted for them.
Okay.
That's why I was happy that they won. That's why I would have been not angry, not upset, because I don't have no hate.
No, exactly.
But I would have been disappointed because it would have been another time, another event, another opportunity for us to another defeat.
Right.
And so I'm a big, what I mean by black centric is I'm a big advocate for good things happening to black people. That does not mean I'm an advocate for bad things to happen to other people. No.
Okay.
I'm an advocate for good things to happen to black people because it's been, how does it go?
Been a long time coming.
Exactly. That's all, brother. Nothing deeper than that.
You know, I respect that, Brett. You know, but I'm gonna always play the other side to this, and the only reason I said this was because for me it was just a little disheartening that instead of talking about this great game, everything that's been on TV has been about race, right? Everything on TV keeps going back to black and white. And it's so I'm not black centric. I'm Christ centric. Okay, and I got to make a distinction between
wait a minute. So now you're saying because I'm black centric, that means I'm not Christ centric.
No, I'm saying for me.
No,
I'm not saying no.
I'm asking you. Are you insinuating that I'm not Christ centric because I'm black centric?
No.
Okay,
I'm just saying for me.
Just asking.
I'm Christ centric, and when I'm Christ centric, the Bible says there's neither Jew nor Greek, right? There's nothing but Christ. And when I keep looking at my color of my skin because I'm black, as in me, and again, that may be reality for some, but that's not my reality. Racism is not my reality. Has not really ever been my reality. Okay, and so we have to look at. Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Because I'm confused.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say racism is not your reality, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but explain to me what that means exactly.
Meaning, listen, personally, I don't feel I've ever experienced racism. Okay.
Are you serious?
No, personally. I'm talking about personally. I'm not talking about. Listen, I was not the type of person. I had beautiful cars. I wasn't a guy who drove down the street and the police were stopping me all the time. I didn't get the first time I ever got stopped by police, I was 25 years old. Okay? I didn't, so I don't know that, right? And that's just for me. Not to say that it doesn't happen. I lived in a predominantly white neighborhood. After a certain age, the police in that department in that town respected me and my son. And when they got disrespectful to my son, I checked it. Okay. Not to say that it hasn't happened to my peers. What I'm saying is I don't live there. I don't live in that reality. Okay. And so when we're talking about realities, yeah, racism exists. I'm not saying it does not exist.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify.
I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. I'm not saying classism doesn't exist.
Okay.
I'm saying that we don't have to stay there.
Okay.
And I think for so long we stayed.
Now, when you say we stay there, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about as a people. I'm talking about.
You're talking about black and white people.
But I'm talking about black and white.
Okay.
Of course, we don't have to stay there.
Okay. I agree with
think,
that.
right, and I think that's when we start to overcome. When I look at, yo, you know what? Hey man, I'm black. You're white. You know, hey, I'm better than you. Or hey, my black boy sitting, my white friend sitting here. He rooting for Iowa. I'm sitting here because I'm black and I'm rooting for LSU. And now we're divided because of skin color.
Well, first of all, that's well said. Secondly, thank you for clarifying the fact that even though you personally haven't experienced racism, I'll leave that one alone. But at least you acknowledge that racism does exist.
Exactly.
And then the third thing, though,
come on, we see it every day.
Yeah, exactly. And the third thing, though, that's to me, it's just the most important thing. And that is, there is this disparity, and there is this tremendous gap, and this tremendous difference in this world, not to mention this country, with respect to how we are viewed and treated. And so I'll even take out the word racism if we won't even use it.
No, I want you to use it because it's a real word.
No, but here's what I'm getting at.
Right.
I don't have to use the word racism.
Right.
I don't have to use the word. I'll just say I'm hurt, offended, insulted, disappointed, and distraught simply because we are looked at differently and treated differently and are not given opportunities that we should be given. And I'm not even going to call it racism.
Okay. I like that, Brett. I like that.
And to your point, I'm not going to even use the term black centric anymore. I won't even do that because I don't want to be offensive. Okay. I won't do that. But I do want to be clear that I am disappointed in the country, the society that we live in,
who continues to
and the culture that this society has created because of what it has done to my ancestors, what it is doing to us now.
Right. But how long do we live in it?
Well, here's the point. Like, here's the whole point. When is it going to change?
Oh, wait.
When is it going to change? How is it going to change?
You know what? I think the change starts with me. It starts with you. It starts with our communities. It starts with one person at a time, right? Now, let me say this, sir, and I'm going to say this, and I know I always get flashbacks, and I always get pushback from it, but some of it, Brett, we keep reliving because we keep doing it to ourselves, and we keep putting ourselves in positions without going to get. So let's think about this. We're 13% of the country, right? But our young brothers make up how much of a prison population?
Yeah, first of all, you're preaching to the choir.
Okay.
Now. Don't go there.
Okay.
Don't go there because you are getting ready to cite examples as to why I feel the way I feel.
No, understand. But some of it is we put ourselves there, okay? Instead of going to get educated, right? Wait, no. I'm talking about, listen to me, Brett. No. I grew up in the inner city. I had a mother who put me through school in the inner city. So don't say to me that we can't get educated when we can just simply go to a school and sit up and show up and do what we got to do at the schools. Okay.
Can I respond quickly?
Yes, you can.
Okay. When we started doing this podcast, didn't our third podcast talk about the differentiation between growing up in the inner cities with public school education versus not growing up in the cities in public school education? Didn't we spend almost an hour talking about the differences and the challenges? Okay, therefore, as I said to you then, and I will say to you once again, you represent the minority.
No,
excuse me. Let me make this point.
Okay.
You, Mr. Carey, represent the minority of black men in particular who grew up in the inner city, and got out and became successful. And as I said to you then, as I will say to you now, as I will always say to you, clap, clap, clap. I love you. I respect you for what you have accomplished, but you do not represent the majority of inner city black men. You don't, in the way you.
Brett, all my boys that came out of the inner city are educated. Well, I'm not going to say all of them.
Okay.
I'm not going to say
all
of them.
I don't even know them, but I'm going to tell you not all of them.
Okay.
And I'm also going to tell you that they still represent a small minority. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
But it was choices that we made to do it because we had the same books. We had the same class. We had the same everything. and there was some who chose to, and there was some
And
who
that's why I
didn't.
applaud you.
Right? And
Right.
so what I'm
That's why I
saying
applaud
is,
you.
right? So what I'm saying is that the white man's fault that we didn't get educated? Or is that our parents' fault we didn't get educated? Is it the people in our lives who said, you know what, you're going to go ahead and you're going to make something out of yourself no matter what you go through? Or is it that we just said, you know what, hey, I don't like school. I don't want to go to school.
Okay. Yes, yes, no, and yes. To answer those 4 questions.
Okay.
Yes, it was. It's. When I'm not going to see. There you go with the color thing. I'm not going to use the term the white man. I'm going to use the term the system.
Okay.
The inner city educational system is part responsible. Point 1.
Okay.
Answer your first question.
Okay.
To answer your second question, yes, our parents are also responsible. However, as we talked about before, look at the challenges that the inner city parent has to go through. You were raised by a single mother. I was raised by a single mother. Mm-hmm. And so many of us are raised by single mothers who might have to work 2 jobs, who might not have the time, the energy, or even the education to sit down with us and make sure that we're educated, to make sure that we got the English lesson or the math lesson or the science lesson. Most of our parents don't even have the opportunity or the mindset to say, did you get your homework done? And even if you ask the question, yes, no, maybe so. It don't matter. I still got to deal with what I got to deal with.
Okay.
So yes, the parents are part responsible.
Okay.
Yes, the system is part responsible, and yes, the kids are part responsible. Because think about it for a minute. If you have a kid who's unchallenged at home and unchallenged in school, that kid is going to have tremendous self-motivation like you did, obviously, and your boys, obviously, in order to make it. But all I'm trying to say to you, brother, you're the small minority. And the reason why we all know this, all you got to do is look at unemployment, the ratio, in prison population, the ratio,
Okay.
and the number of young black men and women who are basically on assistance.
Okay.
It all stems from not coming out of their environment.
Okay.
Educated. Period.
Right. Okay.
Period.
So what can we do to change that?
Well, first of all, again, we talked about this before. And so personally, and you said it a second ago, it could be one-on-one, one at a time. I don't want to beat a dead horse because we talked about this on a previous episode. You find 1 or 2 parents who think like you, and you form a group.
Right.
And you go find 2 or 3 more parents who think like you because we have strength in numbers.
Right.
And I believe there are parents who I don't know in the inner city who want to do better, who, as parents, who want to see their kids do better as students, and yet they're powerless because they're looking at this thing in reality, Malik, not black and white, but in reality. And what they're saying is, I can't take on this monster on my own. But all of a sudden, you knock on their door, and another one of your boys knocks on their door, and next thing you know, Miss this and Miss that and Miss her and Miss her says, you know what? I'm not alone.
Right.
And I got these black men who are in my community who live down the street from me who have kids who are in my kids' classes, and they want to do something. Well, now, you know what? All of a sudden, I have courage. All of a sudden, I have power. All of a sudden, I got motivation. I'm inspired, and we're going to get something done. That's how you do it school at a time.
So, and I agree.
That answers that question.
Right. No, perfect. So I have a contract. I'm not going to no schools. I'm not, but I have with 2 schools in the inner city, one of the major inner cities here in New Jersey. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm teaching them entrepreneurship, right? But I'm teaching them entrepreneurship through social and emotional learning, right? What I'm teaching these young men is not about your skin color. I'm teaching them it's about being able to take where you are, rise above it so that you can get out of this community and go back when you get built and strong enough to come back and do what I'm doing to you guys.
Okay, but you know what? That's
and
great.
they have to learn to go out here and overlook, hey, I'm a black man, walk into wherever you walk into and say, you know what? Hey, listen, I'm as equal as you are. And I'm going to say something. I'm a black man. I'm black and I'm proud. But I can't tell you, brother, without my white brothers, I don't know where I would be today.
Okay, and that's another subject. Hold that
Okay.
thought. Don't hold that thought. Let
Okay.
me go back to what you just said. Okay, so I'm going to again give you. I'm proud of you. I'm going to give you props for doing what you're doing. But here's the piece. It's the fundamentals. See, you're looking at a macro learning. You're looking at a mindset change.
Right.
That only works, man. Well, let me put it to you this way. That works in conjunction with the skill sets they need. Now, you got to, I'm not saying you, somebody's got to teach them how to read. Somebody's got to teach them how to interpret what they're reading. Somebody's got to teach them how to formalize a thought after they've read.
So is that the white man's fault?
Wait a minute. Somebody has to teach them how to write it, and somebody has to teach them to express it. Because what you said, you got a half a dozen brothers going into this place saying, I'm black, I'm equal, I'm deserving, I'm this, I'm that. Okay, you know what? Yes, you are. So show me what you can do. Show me what your skill set is. Show me what you bring to the table. And so what I'm trying to say to you is it's about skill sets more than it's about skill sets
Exactly.
before it becomes about confidence. Okay, it's about competence before confidence.
I love that.
Okay, that's all I'm trying to tell you. So if you're in those places that you're in, focus on basic, fundamental education. Because I can guarantee you, brother, I don't know where you are. Don't want to know. None of my business. I don't know what you're doing. Don't know. It's not that I don't care, but I'm not trying to get deep into that. But I can guarantee you 99.9% of every single student that you're inspiring, 'cause that's what you're doing, that you're inspiring, have zero skill sets.
Oh, no doubt.
They can't read.
They can't
They
read.
can't write. They can't. You understand what I'm saying?
No. I'm totally in agreement with you. But it's whose fault is that?
We just got finished talking about it's the system, it's the parents, and it's the kids themselves.
Okay.
And it's a lack, and we talked about this when we had our education conversation. It's the lack of mentors, it's the lack of role models, it's the lack of family and or community leaders that gives them something to look up to other than the gangbanger, the hip hopper, the baller.
No disrespect to hip hop.
Yeah, no disrespect to hip hop, the baller, and the drug dealer.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or the guy, and that's why these kids wind up in gangs.
Yeah. Oh, no,
that's
no
why they wind up in
doubt, no
gangs.
doubt.
There's no alternative.
So, So how do we? I guess my question then is, how do we bridge the gap? How do we get away from? And we know it. Is it that I go get my white brothers and say, hey, listen, I need you to walk hand in hand with me because I'm going to need you to help me change this system because I can't do it on my own. I need you as my white brother to come advocate with me so we can walk hand in hand. And I need you to be strategic enough with me, my white brother, so that we can do this together because our hearts bleed the same thing. Our hearts bleed when we see people who are in poverty. We see people who are in jeopardy. We see people who are negligent. We see a system that's divided. We see this, but how do me and you, my brother, my white brother, my Latino brother, how do we come together and do it together instead of divided? And I think that that's where we started from. We're too divided, but if we can unify.
Okay, so
You said you got white friends.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, kid?
Yeah.
I got white brothers.
Okay.
You got white brothers.
Okay.
Why don't all of our white brothers come in the room with us and say, hey, listen, my white brother, my brother who I love just like I love my brother Brett. Listen, man, we see it, the system is divided. How tired of it is of you as it is for me?
Oh, you're talking about a couple different things. Number one, I'm not. First of all, it sounds to me like you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but based on what you said and based on the question you just answered, it sounds to me like you have white friends who are quote unquote willing to do this. So if you do, to answer your question, you get them in a room, you ask them for their thoughts, you ask them for their advice, you ask them what they're willing to do. And then you put together a program, and you go. Let me finish. You put together a program, you get into it. I don't necessarily believe I have white friends who I know of who are willing to do that.
Why?
Well, because I have not polled white friends, because the relationships that I have with my white friends are very simple.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they're simple.
Right. So they're not deep, meaningful relationships.
Pretty much, no. They're simple.
Surface. They're surface.
Well, I don't want to say surface, but they're simple. There's a couple of people that I'm pretty close to. But as a matter of fact, if you want to go there, I have a white friend I'm very close to who had started an organization 10 years ago. He's raised millions of dollars, and that's all he does now. All he does is
he's a brother that we need to be talking to.
Well,
and I'm not just saying we. I'm saying
but do me a favor. Let me make a note of this. I'll put you. Now you said something that makes sense. Let me write this down. What is this? What time is it? You said something that made sense.
Let's go, baby.
Hold on for a second. I'm going to put you in touch with him because he has an organization that he started about 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. He gets funding from millionaires.
Okay.
And what he does is he goes into the inner city schools and he teaches literacy.
There we go.
Okay.
But again, if we talk like that, then I feel like each one grab one, right? So I got my white brother that you got. I got my boy, and I can say his name because he knows he loves me. My brother CJ Meaning, who's doing the same thing. He's doing it around entrepreneurship. We got these brothers that are out there, and instead of saying, hey, you know what, man, you know what? It's my black skin and my black pride. Hey, man, it's my passion to see change. It's my passion to see direction. It's my passion to see that we can transform and get past the skin color, that we can make a difference with the marginalized and disenfranchised, which is what Christ called us to do, as we talked about in our episode last week on a podcast.
I agree with you, and I think it can happen. But what I want to be real clear about is it has to be small scale first,
right?
For financial reasons, if nothing else.
Right.
One school at a time. Number one,
of course. And there are contracts out here. I'm getting them.
Well, okay, but even beyond whether you're getting the contracts or not, the impact and being able to succeed is not driven by the contract. It's driven by
the contract allows us to go through the door.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
But here's what I'm getting at, though. Because you have that contract, I think it's critically important that you teach basic skills, because I know you have a big heart and I know you're a visionary, because that's a gift God gave you.
Exactly.
But here's the deal. These kids are, and it's great to have these kids being able to think beyond what they see. That's awesome. But now you got to give them tools too.
You know what?
You have to give them
I totally agree.
Learning tools to line up with their confidence, to line up with their and what you're doing is you're helping them see themselves to be bigger and better than what they are.
Right. I have one thing that I talk to all my young men about, and is reading, and they all say the same thing. I can ask 15 people in a room in my inner city classrooms, do you guys read? Want to raise their hand out of 15? I'll say, why don't you read? Man, it's boring. Man, and what I say to them is, well, find something you like to read and start reading it from there. Because now I agree with you on one thing. What our school systems have done in the inner cities has given us a basic curriculum that most of these kids don't even want to deal with. Right? They're teaching them a white history, a Europeanness. Go read some Romeo and Juliet. Brothers don't want to read Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, let me say this to you, because I have a little bit of background and a small, insignificant background in education. But here's what I do know.
Okay.
Content is not what's up.
Oh, exactly.
Here's what's up. Processing, skill set. So it's not about the corny book that I'm reading, and that's why I don't want to read. It's about teaching them how to read.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter if they're reading something boring or corny or not.
Right.
Because the most important thing about education.
But for them, here's the deal.
So what I'm saying to you is, here's what I'm saying to you, Malik. Meet them where they are.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, if somebody says to me, they're boring, Mr. Karen, they're boring, you know what I'm going to say? Well, I'm going to be here till next week at 10 o'clock, and then you bring the book
that you want to read.
That you want them to read.
Right.
Because you should be in tune with them enough to know what they would be interested in reading.
Right.
And then when you open that page, or before they even open the book, you sit down and explain to them what your expectations are.
And nobody's doing that.
Well,
right.
This is why I'm telling you this.
But again, so in these inner cities, they're not looking at white teachers. They're looking at teachers that look like me and you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the teachers that look like me and you are frustrated. The teachers that look like me and you, first of all, it's more women dominated than black male dominated. I was talking to a principal from one of the schools, and this is what they told me. I asked them how many men were in the building. They told me there were 30 black men in the building. But she told me something that's disheartening. She said out of the 30 black men that's in this building, this was a principal telling me this. She said there's only about 10 of them that's involved with these kids' lives.
All right, let me tell you something. That's 30%. And I guarantee, and I shouldn't swear, but I'm telling you, I'm looking you dead in your eye right now, and I'm telling you, I can move a mountain with 10 men who care.
Okay,
I can move a mountain.
Me and you can.
And so all I'm saying to you is, you're a leader, right?
Yeah.
You just said that God gave you leadership skills. Take those 10 men and lead them to the promised land.
I'm not their principal.
No, but
I'm just saying. I'm just having conversations.
But you have access to the principal.
Right.
Principal's your client.
Oh, yeah.
So you go to your principal and you say, look, here's my plan. And part of my plan involves these 10 men.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm doing with these 10 men, because these 10 men, along with your group, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the fundamentals of reading, the fundamentals of writing, the fundamentals of communication, the fundamentals of conflict resolution, the fundamentals of problem solving, the fundamentals of making decisions. And then, when you see them start to develop those skills, you're going to spend less time talking about building them up. Because they're going to have self-confidence.
Right, exactly.
Because they're going to know, last week I couldn't read, today I'm writing poetry.
Yo, but that's so dope. But again, that's across the country.
Stop. You have to do this one school at a time. Because here's what happens when you do it one school at a time. Now you can take that school and you can parade 20 students to another school. You can put them on stage during an assembly, and you can say, my name is blah, 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 blah. 6 months ago, I couldn't read. I'm getting ready to pull out Thoreau. I'm getting ready to pull out David Thoreau and read you David Thoreau. I'm in the 3rd grade and explain to you what this is all about.
I love it.
And that has impact, okay?
Right.
And so when you do one school at a time, number one, you can get funding.
Because we can show and prove that we've done it.
That's my point. You can get funding, number one. You can take it to another school. It's the replicate. It's what's that term? It's the duplication. I forgot what the term was. But you duplicate success.
Oh, yeah.
You replicate success.
You don't have to
you replicate success. Success school number one. You take it to school number two, you have success. You take it to school number three, you have success. Next thing you know, you have converted an entire school district, at least on the elementary side or on the middle school side.
It has to start on the elementary side.
Yeah, we'll start there.
Yeah, you have to.
So
because I'm at the high school levels.
I'm telling you right now, you have the power. I don't have the gift of prophecy, but you have the power because you have the access, because you have access, because you have opportunity, because God gave it to you. You have the mission to go into these schools, start here, put together a curriculum, get the right people to work with you, have success here, take it somewhere else, and the next thing you know, in a matter of 6 months, a year and a half.
It takes a little few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but you could change the entire
landscape
narrative and landscape on the elementary school,
because it has to start.
And it starts there, and it trickles itself up.
Right. Now that's great. So I love that. That's our educational plan. We got our educational plan. All right. How do we now go above the elementary plan?
You go recruit the same kind of folks. Anybody interested in seeing inner city junior high, middle school kids succeed?
No.
What?
Our prison systems.
Okay, well, see, now you're talking about something altogether different. Okay, so now all right, so listen, everything is the same. There's nothing different.
Right.
There's nothing different. The process is all the same. You find people who give a damn, you get them together, you ask questions, you let people share their ideas, and you come up with a business plan or a plan of action, whatever you want to call it. You approach the warden, whoever you got to approach, and you see, I used to work with a group that specialized in what happens, what did they call that? There was a term, when people got out of prison, this organization was all about keeping them out.
Recidivism. So they don't go back.
Yeah, that's what it was. I forgot exactly what the term was. So I sat down, put together a proposal, and it basically spit out from point A to point B. Step 1, right on to step 28. Here's what you need to do in order to get these inmates ready to come out, because you got to get them ready to come out. And then when they come out, they have somewhere to go, they have somewhere to live, they have a job, and they are monitored. And if they succeed and check off the boxes, they get an opportunity to have a life.
Yeah, and we're doing again. My guys, they're doing that through entrepreneurship, and they're white.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I have a great friend. He's a brother. He's not even a friend.
Okay.
There's a brother will go to war with me.
Okay.
I'll put him in the foxhole before I put some of my brothers in the foxhole.
All right.
Okay.
That's great.
And so for me, he's in the trenches. He's in Northern State Prison. He's in Clinton down there with the girls. He's in there teaching our men how entrepreneurship. So when they come out, they got a job. They already set up. They have the funding. He's put that together, right? And again, when I come alongside of him now, I'm coming alongside of him not as a white brother or black brother. We're coming alongside saying we care, right? We the good Samaritan that says, I don't care what color you are, you're going to succeed.
I agree with that.
Right? And the only thing I keep saying is, again, we got to be, I feel like it. And I say everyone, but again, when the white boys say, I'm a white boy and I'm proud, yeah, we the proud boys. We the white, we white supremacists. Right? When we say we black and we proud, we looked upon with them as we the cake. I mean, we the Black Panthers and we the what. And I think what we have to understand is, again, I'm not discounting and I'm not denying that as black men in this country, we have been targeted, we have been mistreated, we have been denied access. I'm not denying any of those things. So I want to be clear about that. I'm not ignorant, and I know what's going on. All I keep saying is when we keep, Mother Teresa said something. She said, when we keep fighting wars, we get more wars. Mm-hmm. When we keep fighting racism, we get more racism. Mm-hmm. When we stand for justice, we start to stand for something. Mm-hmm. I can't continue fighting racism. I can't continue fighting because I'm going to get more of it. I stand for humanity. I stand with, you know what? Yeah, there is injustice. How do we change it? Yeah, there is racism. How do we change it? There is these things, because if I keep looking at it, when I keep pointing to it, when I keep doing it, I feel like we just keep perpetuating it. Mm-hmm. Going back to this game. Two beautiful.
But before you get back to that game, let me just respond to a couple of things you said. You said this a few minutes ago, and I 100% agree with you. Nothing, no progress has ever been made, will ever be made without the support and advocacy of our white friends. That's a fact, period. Point one. Here's point two. I don't paint every person, black, white, green, purple, with the same brush. Right. Because there are good white people and there are bad black people. Okay? So I judge the person for who and how they are, period. Yep. I don't care what color you are. Okay? I judge you for how you are, your character, your integrity, your honesty, your humility, your heart, your passion, your motivation, and your ability to be sensitive to other people.
Right.
And I don't care what color you are. That's how I judge you. Okay. So here's the reason why here's the point I'm making. Here's the reason why I bring that up. You have to, well, I shouldn't say you have to. What I do is I meet somebody and I talk to somebody and I observe somebody's behavior and I draw a conclusion. And the conclusion is, okay, this person is a good person. Here are the reasons. This person is a bad reason. A bad person. Here are the reasons. And whether they're black or white, I just put them in a category. Here's a category of somebody that I'm not dealing with. Yeah. And there's a category of somebody I want to align myself with.
Exactly. And they have the same values.
And they're black, white, Latino, Asian, Indian people in both rooms. Right. All right? In both rooms. So I want to be real clear about that I have a very rainbow approach to solving this racial divide problem. Okay. I'm very inclusive. Okay. And I just wanted to share that before you go back to this LSU story, because this LSU Iowa story, simply because there's a difference between Brett thinking what needs to be done in order to make this world better,
Right.
as opposed to Brett in the moment rooting for somebody because this particular team might be black, or because this particular team might have somebody on it that I particularly like.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes a lot of
Okay.
sense.
All right. So now you go ahead with your Iowa LSU thing.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it's unfortunate that, to me, in 2023, we're still talking about a situation that, what was the first black-white game? It was in the early 1900s or whatever. It was Kentucky against
Western Kentucky against somebody.
right?
Yeah.
You know, and again, because I got these beautiful, talented young ladies on the court going at it, 13% of the country, because they were LSU, and whoever LSU team fans were, but they got a pretty white base too, right? The whole New Orleans was rooting for LSU, so you know that that's going on. But then again, I got this white Iowa team, and it divided the country once again. That's all I felt. I felt like we got divided again. It happens when there's a boxer, when there's a white boxer fighting a black boxer, right? It happens when there's, well, we ain't seen no all-white football teams yet, and so I'm sure, thank God. Again, and I'm sure we will. I was probably going to put all white football team out there one day. But, again, I just feel like we just keep getting set back. Right? We just keep getting, we take 2 steps forward, and then again, we just got done with this idiot. I don't want to say his name, but you know how bad he divided the country, and we see what kind of trouble he's in right now, right? So it's just one. I feel like it always goes back to race with us. It really does, and I'm talking about across the country.
Well, listen. First of all, I understand where you're coming from, but let's kind of put this thing in perspective real quick,
cool.
Okay? And I might be wrong. I don't think, for the most part, that every single person who wakes up is so race conscious every single minute of every single day. Oh, I'm black. Oh, he's white. Oh, I'm white. Oh, he's black. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's how we live. I think what happens is when things happen.
Right.
That's when we refer back to our values, our sensitivities, our feelings. That's when we revert back.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you revert back enough times and you see kind of like the same frame over and over and over again, it kind of creates a vision. What's the word I'm looking for? It creates a mindset.
Right.
It creates a mindset.
So that's good. When do we change the mindset?
Okay, well, see, but here's what you're saying, and here's what I'm agreeing with you on. Just because our mindset is where it is does not mean we're not able or willing to change our thinking, change our behavior so that we make things better.
No,
so we make things different and better so that at some point, hopefully sooner than later, we don't have to have that same mindset.
Well, the mindset for you, if I'm not mistaken, is I'm black centric. So if I'm black centric,
okay, you're making the mistake of thinking because I'm black centric means I'm not inclusive. Let me finish.
Okay.
You're making the mistake of assuming because I'm black centric, I don't like white people.
No, I say that.
You're making the mistake of saying because I'm black centric, I'm 100% black and 0% anything and everything else. That's not true.
Okay.
And let me repeat myself.
What does centric
For
mean?
me, black centric simply means I am intentionally and unapologetically advocating for the best for my people.
So,
that
but
doesn't
again,
make me.
but
it doesn't mean I hate other
No,
people.
no.
It doesn't mean I don't include other people. It doesn't mean I don't want to be bothered. It doesn't mean I don't want to talk. It doesn't mean I don't want to have friends. It doesn't mean I don't want to live a life that's without anything or anybody other than black. That's not true. And I need you to understand that.
No, I get it. But all I'm saying is when the other start to think like that, we demean them. When the others say, "I'm white,"
See, but stop.
no,
But
I'm
see,
just saying as a people. I'm not saying you and I.
Yeah, but you're making the assumption that because a white person
Says when a white person says,
let me be clear about that. But let me be clear about this. A white
says,
supremacist is different from somebody who's simply white. A white extremist is different from somebody who's simply white.
Okay,
a white nationalist is different from somebody who's essentially white. All I'm trying to say to you is, I told you this 5 minutes ago. I compartmentalize. To me, a white supremacist is a white supremacist. A white extremist is a white supremacist. A white nationalist is a white nationalist. I know who they are.
I'm asking you a question.
But here's what I'm saying.
So, but if a white person says, "I'm white and I'm white centric, and all I care about and I'm rooting for," not to say that the others can't succeed, but I care about my white counterparts succeeding. I care about them growing. I care about them developing. I'm rooting for them. Yeah, the other ones are they're fine, but my main focus is white.
Malik, you're describing something that starts with an H. It's called humanity, brother.
No. Humanity is humanity focused.
Malik, what you just described is really what I'm talking about. Just because Mr. and Mrs. Holly and Mr. and Mrs. Jones, blah, blah, just because they're rooting for Iowa doesn't make him racist.
No.
It doesn't make him racist. And it doesn't make him nationalist. It doesn't make him extremist.
No, I did. What I said to you was, you said I'm black centric. I care about my black people succeeding. I root for my black people. I want my black people to succeed. You said that.
Yes.
I said.
But I also said.
Go ahead. You said. I said, what if white people said, "I care about white people. I care about only white people succeeding. I want my others to succeed, but our main concern is my white brothers succeeding." What would we say about them?
Okay, you asked me that question 2 minutes ago. I answered. Let me answer it again. Okay. I call that humanity, and let me make my point.
Okay.
Every single ethnicity in the world, has an affinity, has a premier priority affinity for their own. That doesn't mean they're nationalists. It doesn't mean they're extremists. It doesn't mean they're it doesn't mean they're, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean they hate everybody else.
I know.
Okay, so what I'm saying is what I'm simply saying is let me make this simple. Mm-hmm. I have a preference for the healthy well-being of black people because I'm black. I'm sure the majority of white people have a preference for the healthy well-being of white folks. I'm sure the majority of Latinos have a desire for a healthy, wealthy, successful group of Latinos. And I believe the Asians feel that way. I believe every nationality and every ethnicity feels that way. That's called humanity, brother. That's called humanity. So when I say black centric, I'm just being preferential toward black people, not exclusive of everybody else, just preferential. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Brett, you know what? This is so good, man. But I think
wave the flag, brother. Wave the flag.
No, this is good. This is good.
I'm not conceding on this, man. I think every single ethnicity in the world who's walking this earth has a love, an affinity, and an advocacy for their own first and foremost. But that does not mean none of them don't care about anybody or everybody else. All right, you got to make that distinction. It's not an all or nothing thing. People aren't all or nothing is what I'm trying to say. All right? They're not all or nothing. They're just not. There are a lot of people who get it. There are a lot of people who are sensitive and caring and willing to even protest and write letters and lobby and advocate for other ethnicities and other racial groups because they're good people. They care about other people.
And that's all I'm talking about. Right. Is the fact that
Let's go, Iowa. Let's go, Hawkeyes. Let's go.
let's go.
Let's go.
What's her name? Caitlin.
I love her, man. She's great.
Caitlin was back.
She's great.
So, man, you
I
know
love
what,
her,
Brett?
man.
This has been a great episode, man. Really, and again, as I say, it comes to a point, and again, I want to be clear. This guy,
You're funny. You are hilarious. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I love my brothers. You know that. I'm black and I'm proud.
Okay.
When we keep,
Well, then say it loud.
when, we got to play the other side of this, though, man. Because again, I just see, and not to say you're doing it, but I just see it being perpetuated so much. Again, to me, it was just another setback of black and white racial divide in a country that needs to heal, in a country that needs to come together. And what you said earlier was really start to think about true humanity. And true humanity is whether you white, black, Latino, Chinese, Asian, Indian, whatever you are, knowing that there are people who are suffering in this country at the hands of what white America has done to a lot of us.
Right, and
let's keep that real.
Yeah, and this is just a real simple thought.
Right.
I guarantee you, at least 4 out of 10 fans, eyeballs who are watching that game, who are rooting for Iowa, are not racist.
Oh no, they were reading. They were
not extremists, or not nationalists. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. They simply are rooting for their.
Twitter was blowing up, brother.
They're simply rooting for their people. Yeah. Now, yes, there are those who politicize that. Yes, there are those who rally around racism, who rally around nationalism, who rally around extremism.
Right.
Whatever that.
Extremism.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And so there's always bad people that are going to emerge around events. Yeah. It's just life. It's just life.
Exactly.
But I don't think that the majority of people who are sitting there rooting for Iowa hate black people.
Oh no,
I don't think the majority of people. I don't think the majority.
Half of them might have even seen them. That might have been the first time they seen them.
Oh, see, you are unbelievable. My God. And I don't think the majority of black people who are rooting for LSU hate white people.
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah. We just.
But again,
we each have, everybody has their own rooting interests.
Right.
That's all. It's simple as that.
Exactly.
And you are making this more than what it needs to be. That's all I'm saying. I'm done. That's all I'm saying.
Yo, Brett, you know what, man? This was a real conversation. It was spirited, man. Really, we want to thank everyone for listening. You know what? I want everybody to chime in. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you have to say, even about this conversation. Again, we can be reached at MEN, the number 2 men podcast.com. We can be seen on Facebook, Instagram.
We have a Men to Men podcast, Men to Men podcast on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook, yes. Go to Men to Men podcast.
Yes, and Instagram and also SoundCloud. Again, we can be reached at mentomen.com. Podcast.com. We want to hear from you guys. Again, looking forward to it. Thanks for another great show. We want to thank you guys for continuing to listen and support us. And we're out.